Hey guys, Jake here from Maxx UAV. Today I'm going to be showing you how to install the NanoSync antenna onto your Mavic remote. First we'll start off by showing you the different tools that I use. This right here is a 1.5mm hex head. I got the Phillips head screwdriver, flathead screwdriver. I got an 8mm wrench, a 9mm wrench. Got a utility knife, this is a metal spudger, and then we got some needle nose pliers. So let's go ahead and get started. Set the antenna off to the side. First thing you need to do is remove these two screws. You got one right there, one right there. And use the 1.5mm hex head for that. And then using the hex head, you can stick this in there and kind of like pry up on these little tabs here. Okay. Now this part's probably the hardest part of doing this entire mod. You got to get this plate off there, and it's pretty tough. So what I do is I stick this flathead screwdriver into these little slots here, and then twist, and you should hear some popping. Just kind of get underneath there and pry up on it. It sounds like it's breaking, but I promise you it's not. This thing is actually pretty tough. You can also stick it in over here. Might be a good idea to remove this cable as well. And if you can't quite get your flathead screwdriver in there, you might want to try using a metal spudger if you have one. We're almost there. Be careful sticking the screwdriver in on this side. There's a cable that runs along there. You don't want to break that. There we go. Yeah, that's that cable I was talking about. It's really thin. Break easily. Now we'll take the Phillips head screwdriver, and you got a screw right there and one right there. Okay, now you got to get this button off there, and all you got to do is take your fingernails, get underneath it, and pull straight up. And it just comes out like that. Okay, now you got these little connection points right here. Just stick a flathead in there and just kind of twist, and they come right out. Okay, now we need to take this front face off there. Once you got those screws out and you got these disconnected, you can go ahead and start trying to pull this apart. Go back and forth here. And then from here, you got 6 screws you need to take out. You got one right here, 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 and here. Now these all these screws are the same size. So what I do is I stick them in a group off here to the side. You don't have to remember which one goes where. And try not to touch the screen. I find that it scratches easily. If you get something on it, just try and blow it off. Let's see, I got a little speck of something there. Okay. And you have this ribbon cable you need to disconnect. All you gotta do is flip that tab up right there and then rock this out side to side. There we go. And it's got adhesive on it. You just gotta pull that up, pull it back. Now you take this front piece off here. Got a piece of tape here that's holding on to it. You can actually pull this piece of tape all the way off, just like so. Sometimes this USB connection over here gets stuck, so just kind of pry it up that way and just kind of rock it out. Looks like I just made it stuck. Okay. Here you got 4 screws you need to take out. You got one right here, 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 and here. It's really useful to use a magnetized screwdriver here. Now these screws are different from the first 6 that you took out, so try not to get these mixed up. Okay. Now take the needle nose pliers and pull this up. What I do is I just grab the sides there and kind of rock it back and forth. And then this screen assembly should come right out. Now be careful, because this is also connected with a ribbon cable. You can see right there. These buttons might come out with it as well. Just slide those off. Again, just pull up this tab here, and that should slide right out. Okay. Let's see, let's go ahead and disconnect the cables here. What we do is either use a flathead, or I like to use this metal spudger tool and kind of twist and pop them off there. And you also have some tape here and here. You could just take the tape off and throw it away and use some new Scotch tape. But I don't have any Scotch tape right now, so I'm just going to try and reuse it. And you can just pull this wire right through that glue there. Now inside these antennas there's these tabs that keep it from turning all the way, and you need to break those tabs in order to get the washer to fit in there correctly. So if you take it and just twist it until it goes, it'll break those tabs. Now I take the utility knife, and you gotta cut the lip off here. It's the thicker, there's two sides to this. It's a thicker piece that you need to cut off. Quite get all of it. To get it off correctly, this should slide right out. Same thing on the other side. Alright. Get that piece of plastic out of there. Okay. Now we're ready for the internal cables. Also need to get the washers. And you need the mount. Okay, so there's these cables come in two different lengths. So you get the longer one and the shorter one. The longer one goes on the left here. Take the nut off here. And the lock washer goes on the inside. So just actually, let's make sure those tabs broke off, and it looks like they did. The tabs I'm talking about were right here. And that all that does is stops that antenna from spinning a full 360 degrees. Actually, I need to shade that a little bit. I'm going to have it as flat as possible so the washer sits in there good. That should do it. Okay. Put one of the washers on. Put the mount on there. Screw the nut down. Same thing on the other side. Make sure that washer's sitting down in there. There we go. Okay. tighten these nuts down. So you take your 9mm that goes on the inside here. And then the 8mm wrench to tighten it. You want to tighten this as much as you can, because you don't want to have to open up this remote again if it gets loose. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay. So this is how you want the washers oriented in there. You want this cable coming out like that, and that cable coming out that way. You want the top of this washer, or the head here, to be parallel with the controller. Same thing on this side. So once you got those, go ahead and get these connected. And on here it says left or right, so you know which one needs to go where. These can be a pain just because they're so small. Oop, sorry about that, guys. I got a phone call in the middle of that, and I'm using my phone to record this. But all I did is I got these connected back up, and I got the tape back on top. So now we can start reassembling this thing. First thing you want to do is get this ribbon cable back in there. Make sure that tab is still pushed up. Okay, it's kind of a pain. Okay. Okay, now we can put the screws back in. The first screws that you put back in are a little longer than the first, or the second set of screws you put back in, just in case you forgot which one is which. Now this screw over here, you want to make sure this ribbon cable is pulled out, because if this is pushed underneath this, it's right in the path where the screw goes, and you could end up screwing right through the ribbon cable. I'll give it a close up to what I'm talking about. Make sure this is pulled out like this when you're putting that screw in there. Now we're ready for this. Start off by putting the USB side down. Okay. Now we're ready for the second set of screws. Now you can go ahead and reconnect this ribbon cable here. Push the tab down. And then we'll reconnect this cable over here. Okay, and then you can press this button over here, and if it pops up, that means everything's working okay so far. And you can put this back on there. I think I slide these buttons back in there. The camera button goes on the right, and the record button goes on the left. And you want to test these, make sure they're pressing down. This is why you need to make sure the heads here are parallel. If it's turned, I don't know, about 20 degrees either way, these buttons won't work right because it pushes on this board here. Okay, so now we're ready to put this space back on there. I start off by pressing the top of this down. Make sure everything's nice and flush. You can put these screws back in. Okay, make sure these are pressed back on. You're ready to put the bottom piece back on. What I do is I make sure these little tabs here are lined up with the holes. And push that down a little bit. Just want to do this little by little. Just kind of work your way around it and press down. Make make sure these sides are pressed down all the way. Okay. Put these back on. Oh, fell off. Oh, it's not going on. There we go. Okay, and I get this button here. What I do is I try and get it lined up here and just kind of rotate this back and forth until you can tell it's slit or it's on there correctly, and then just press down on it. Make sure the buttons still work and the screen lights up. I will get the antenna installed here. I wouldn't screw these tight just yet. So I'm going to screw those on nice and tight. And then this is really up to personal preference. You can either go in front here or go behind. I choose to go behind. And that's it.